The media can be very powerful and very dangerous, especially during a time of war. One misleading statement could set off a chain of events which could change the world as we know it. And we were almost on the brink of World War III this week when the Western media started reporting with certainty that a Russian missile had landed in Poland.
A senior U.S. intelligence official says Russian missiles crossed into NATO member Poland, killing 2 people.
A senior U.S. intelligence official. There was no proof of anything at the time, only the first images of the blast, images which showed what appeared to be fragments of an S-300 rocket. That's part of a Soviet-era missile defense system that Kiev continues to use today. But that didn't matter to the West. The Russians were, of course, to blame. And within minutes, the story spread like wildfire, with politicians and journalists started calling on NATO to attack Russia and invoke Articles 4 and 5, which mandate member states to determine a collective response whenever one of them is attacked. And then it turned out that it was probably a Ukrainian missile that crossed into Poland. Awkward, to say the least. But it took several hours for AP to correct their version of the story. You would have thought that U.S. media would be more careful with their reporting, especially after their epic blunders with the invasion of Iraq, for example, when everyone was sold on the premise of weapons of mass destruction, which were never found.
We have found a number of instances of coverage that was not as rigorous as it should have been. In some cases, information that was controversial then and seems questionable now was insufficiently qualified or allowed to stand unchallenged. Looking back, we wish we had been more aggressive in re-examining the claims as new evidence emerged or failed to emerge.
We should have warned readers we had information that the basis for this was shakier than widely believed. Those are exactly the kind of statements that should be published on the front page.
And we're seeing the same thing play out all over again. It never stopped, really. Remember the Syrian chemical attack? Or the Gaddafi Viagra story? Or the UN claims about the Russian army supplying its soldiers with Viagra.
When you see the women and girls have been held for days in buildings and raped, when you hear the testimonies of these women who tell you about Russian soldiers equipped with Viagra, among other things, it is clearly a military strategy.
A prank call later revealed that she had no evidence to back up those claims. It was just what she was told by Ukrainian officials. But the truth didn't matter at that point, did it? The damage had already been done, and now it's as good as fact for those who watch Western media. No apologies, no retractions. Nothing new for the U.S.
Well, I had several jobs. One of my jobs was that of analyst. I also was an interrogator and indeed briefed the press when we, the CIA, wanted to circulate disinformation on a particular issue. Disinformation is not necessarily a lie. It may be a half-truth. And we would pick out a journalist. I would go do the briefing and hope that he would put the information in print.
Half-truths and disinformation sold as real journalism. That's the recipe for success, American style.
Nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it. If they had searched deep enough, if they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars.
So next time you see a headline in the mainstream media, don't be so quick to judge, tweet, or jump to conclusions, because for all you know, it might be a fake story generated to get a particular result, sometimes with undesirable consequences. And this week, that could have been World War III.